Welcome to episode 16 of the J&J Podcast. I'm Jamie.
This is Jameson.
I want to welcome all of our listeners in, and we want to wish everyone a happy MLK Day. Hope everyone is doing something positive, doing something to help remember the memory of MLK and what he actually stood for, and the fact that he wanted us to have a better world. Because of that, we're going to have a somewhat truncated episode today. Not going to go as long as we typically do, but we do have some hot topics that we want to jump into. So, and I think the first thing on the docket for us this week is going to be college football, the college football playoffs, which is happening later tonight. So, Jameson, let's jump into that. Give me your prediction. I think we talked a little bit about it last week, but the game is actually tonight.
Yeah.
Who you got?
Final prediction, I said it last week. I'm just going to double down, but I have Ohio State winning. I feel like if they can come out, establish the run, make things easier for Will Howard, and then I feel like that can free up the big play opportunity for Jeremiah Smith and some of their other wide receivers like Carno Tate. I feel like it's going to be a really good game back and forth, but I think in the second half that Ohio State will play well enough to pull away. And I also feel like I give Ohio State's defense a little bit of an edge over Notre Dame's defense. And that's saying a lot because Notre Dame has been fantastic throughout the duration of the college football playoff. But hopefully, I'm just hoping for a really good game, which I think it will be. I think it'll be back and forth. But overall, I think Ohio State will pull away in the second half. And it'll be Ryan Day's first college football championship. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I'm not going to, beat this dead horse, pause. But I'd have to agree. I will not be surprised, and this sounds like I'm hedging my bet again, but I'm really not. I think Ohio State should win. I think Ohio State has the best balanced team. I think that their defense can be quite effective, but they're, to your point, they're definitely going to have to stop the run. I think Notre Dame will do, and we'll jump into this later, I think Notre Dame will do what the Ravens should have done. Don't get me started with that. But I think Notre Dame will actually run the football and try to, keep the possession as much as they possibly can. But I have Ohio State winning. And again, I would not be stunned if Notre Dame pulls it out just because they try to have some ball control and they keep time of possession. So I'm going to go with Ohio State, but I won't be shocked if it's Notre Dame.
Talking about ball control, pause. Moving over crazy. To the NFL. A lot happened with the Ravens, but we'll segue into that. We'll get to that at the end. But Texas and Chiefs, Jameson, lead us into that.
Yeah, Texas versus Chiefs. I will say this, going into the game, I was rooting for the Texans. I actually thought they had a chance, and they did keep that game close. But as D'Amico Ryans, Joe Mixon, and C.J. Stroud said, they said it best. They not only had to go against the Chiefs, but they were playing against everybody in that game. And by everybody, I also include the NFL referees. Heading into that game, the fact that the opposing head coach is saying that, the opposing star player in C.J. Stroud is saying that, and their star running back is not a good look for the NFL. And I will say, watching that game, there was a roughing the passer call early on in that game that if you know football and watch sports, people know momentum is huge. And all the momentum that the Texans had defensively was literally stripped away on that one roughing the passer call. It literally gave them a first down, and then the Chiefs were actually able to score a full touchdown on that drive. And then their kicker missed a extra point, a field goal, which hurt them pretty bad and came back to bite them later on in that game. Also, too, people are going to say this. I know Justin Reed ended up blocking that field goal, but he was offsides. Literally, the replay showed he was offsides. All that stuff ended up adding up over the game to ultimately cost the Texans. But I will say this. Huge shout out to D'Amico Ryans, C.J. Stroud in year 2. I know C.J. Stroud didn't really have the best second half of the season, but granted, he lost Stephon Diggs, he lost Tank Dell. For that game to even have been close, it just says a lot about the Texans. And I will say this, going forward, they have a lot to look forward to whenever Tank Dell is healthy again, Stephon Diggs, and then their defense is really set up for the future. Having Will Anderson, he's arguably right now a top 3 to 5 defensive player in all of football, and he's so young, so he's only just going to keep improving for years to come. So huge shout out to the Texans. I can't stand the Chiefs, But God knows, I'm just telling you, like, we're going to get to the Bills and Ravens game, but I just feel bad because I don't see the Chiefs losing anymore, especially having the referees on their side. But your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, you're stealing some of my thunder
Yeah.
because listen, I don't have a lot to say because I think it was blatant. I think it was self-explanatory. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is literally pushed out of bounds and he flops and they throw the flag. Like, and then I mean, Troy Aikman, I don't know if he knew that he was on a hot mic, but there was that one play where the two dudes tried to tackle Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
They ended up hitting each other because Mahomes went under. He's a runner, by the way, at that point. He's a runner. So there shouldn't be roughing because he's not a passer. He's a runner at that point. But I heard you literally hear Troy Aikman say, "Oh, come on."
Yeah.
Like it's become so blatantly obvious.
The same thing happened to Lamar last night and nothing was called.
Exactly. So I was going to say that,
My
but you're
bad.
absolutely right. No, you're good. You're absolutely right. The exact same thing. Lamar was running. He was out of bounds. The dude grabbed him, threw him out. They threw absolutely no flag. Patrick Mahomes was already out of bounds, and then he flopped. And
Yep.
because he flopped, they threw a flag. It is almost embarrassing. This whole everybody was making jokes about the NFL being scripted. Oh, it's absolutely scripted. The Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. If they don't win the Super Bowl, then the script got changed. They made an addendum to it because I'm telling you now, the stars are aligned for them to win again.
Yep.
It just is. I despise them. They want Patrick Mahomes to be, I guess, the new Tom Brady. But I mean, my God, you're giving him even more leeway than you even gave Tom Brady in some instances. So I don't have a whole bunch to say except I agree with you. The Texans played great. There's absolutely no room for error when you play the Chiefs. You can't commit any turnovers.
Nope.
You can't do anything wrong, and you can't touch Patrick Mahomes. Other than that, if you can play error-free football, not touch Patrick Mahomes, not hold, not have any pass interference plays that aren't pass interference plays, then you have a chance of winning.
And
Good
do
luck.
some voodoo before the game.
Oh, absolutely. That's right. Yeah, you're gonna listen. You might want to go get you a Patrick Mahomes doll
Facts.
with some pins. That might be your only chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
So, but moving on to a quarterback who actually played well, who didn't need the officiating to be on his side. Jaden Daniels is a star in the making. I think Dan Orlovsky said it that he would have chosen Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams.
I told you that last summer.
Exactly.
We were talking about that.
You did, because when you and I talked about it, I wasn't as familiar. I was familiar with Jaden Daniels. But as Shaq would say, I wasn't completely familiar with his game.
And what's something I've always told you? The LSU recruits that end up going to the NFL, they're just always different. That's why I knew coming into it, I was just like, I know he had transferred and stuff, but I just watching his Heisman season, I was like, you can just sometimes, like, some players, they get all the stats and stuff, but some players just meet the eye test, and he was one of them. And it's like, so I'm really not shocked at, like, how he's been able to translate over to the NFL so far.
Yeah, so with that said, Jameson, what are your thoughts about the Lions? Like, where do the Lions go here from next? I know you're gonna talk a little bit about Jaden Daniels, but I kind of felt sorry for Dan Campbell, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, this is what you get paid for. This is year 2.
Honestly, this reminds me.
You should have done more.
Honestly, what I feel like is going to happen is I feel like they're just going to be a middle of the pack team next year, and the reason why I say that is, like, I mean, we're gonna get to it later, but they already lost Ben Johnson today. He's going to the Bears. Aaron Glenn, we're gonna talk about that later on too, but he's definitely moving on. It reminds me of how you remember when the Eagles made the Super Bowl, they lost to the Chiefs a couple years ago, and then they lost all their coordinators. And you see what's happened. Like, of course, this year, the second half of the year having Saquon Barkley, it's like it's sparked a new flame for the future of the franchise, but after that, they struggled for the last 2 years. And I feel like the Lions are going to be a similar situation. Like, Jared Goff is good, but he's also one of those quarterbacks come playoff time where, he has all the weapons, but can he really elevate your team and take you over the hump? I don't see that happening. Their run game is phenomenal, but a lot of that might have been Ben Johnson. We'll see. Of course, we'll have to see how that translates over to the Bears and how the Lions are able to still, potentially have a good offense next year. But I think going forward, this might have been the best chance for the Lions to have actually won a Super Bowl, or let alone even make it there, and they kind of blew it. But I will say this, I just want to take this time to give more credit to Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, and I'm just letting it be known now. That's the team I'm rooting for to actually win the entire thing. I feel like, the city of Washington, they deserve that. And because their fans have dealt with a lot the past 5 to 10 years, and I feel like we're already in the Jaden Daniels decade now in the NFL, so it's just refreshing to see. But your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens now when those coordinators start to leave. I know we'll talk about Ben Johnson and Eric Glenn at the end of the segment, but I'm curious to see, whether it's the coordinators. I think Dan Campbell is certainly a player's coach, but it'll be interesting to see if this was their window, if they've missed that window of opportunity now. Speaking of, and I don't want to say missing a window of opportunity, but my God, Ravens Bills, I'm going to transition over to that. And I know you have a lot to say about it. The only thing I'm going to say, Jameson, before I pass it on to you,
no, you're good,
is I don't want to hear anyone, not one person, better open their mouth and say Lamar didn't get it done and that it's Lamar's fault. Facts. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear anybody whoever says that you're an idiot. You're incompetent and you don't know football. It's really.
Did you see what Alex Smith said today?
No, I didn't. What did he say?
He was on TV and he said that pass that Mark Andrews dropped was Lamar's fault. He didn't throw it correctly.
Oh, I didn't. Well, I didn't hear it. I saw it. I'm like,
bro, dudes was letting him have it.
He talked about the mechanics. Of the
I'm like, bro,
yeah, I did hear about that.
Mechanics and all. It's like, bro, my great grandmother could have caught that. Respectfully.
Listen, an octopus could have thrown that football and he would have caught it. Listen, an octopus could have thrown 8 footballs and 6 of them could have been caught. I'm telling you. I mean, come on, man. I don't want to hear any of that.
I'm gonna put it like this. I'll go and just tell you this. There's 2 people I put that loss on. It's Todd Monken, which I said. What did I literally said last week, and I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks on every single podcast episode. The only team that was going to be the Ravens was themselves, and that's what they did yesterday. You can't have 3 turnovers. I get it. Lamar, that first interception that he threw, he should not have thrown that. But I dare to say, why was he even having to throw a play action pass like that in the first place? You have Derrick freaking Henry in that backfield. There's no excuse for your star running back who had an incredible year to only have 21 rushing yards in the first half. That's absolutely unacceptable. And people are going to say, well, he started off the game, he had 4 carries for 6 yards. I don't care. Let him run another 15 times. It's like that's what you brought Derrick Henry in for moments like that and games like that. And heading into it, it's a snow game. And that's one thing I want to talk about too with the NFL. I'll be honest. I'm tired of weather determining these high caliber important playoff games. Because I'm telling you right now, if they played that game yesterday, the Ravens Bills game in clear weather, the Ravens win that game, no questions asked. You got to think about this. Josh Allen and them are used to playing in that type of weather. A lot of players for the Ravens aren't used to playing in that type of weather, and it showed. Definitely Mark Andrews, you could tell he wasn't used to it, and that played a huge factor in that game. And then we'll get to the Eagles-Rams game too, but look at it like this. In Philly, they're used to playing in the snow. They get snow like we get rain here in North Carolina. It's nothing new for them. You got to think about a team from Los Angeles, the Rams, coming to play in that hostile territory, already with the fans and then having to deal with the snow. Watching that game, if there would have been no snow, I feel like the Rams would have won that game as well. So it's just come playoff time, you have all this money, all these different venues. They're playing overseas for crying out loud. Why can't we find a venue where, weather's
not an issue,
not a factor in the outcome of these games? But I will say this, my fault, and I'll keep this brief.
No. I just wanted to piggyback off of what you said about the Ravens, but go ahead and finish your thought.
No, I was just going to say Todd Monken, he did this crap last year. not running the ball, trying to be fancy, allowing Lamar Jackson to almost have to become like a full passer instead of just making the game easy for him. He did that last night. And then second off, you know me, I'm a huge Mark Andrews fan, but it's like, bruh, you get paid to catch the football. First of all, on that fumble, why are you trying to shake and bake and feel like you're Tyreek Hill? This brother caught the ball, and instead of heading upwards towards the end zone,
north, he said headed south.
No, Dad, he had it like he had it like northwest. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, bro, why are you trying to be out here like Tyreek? Exactly. Why are you trying to be out here like Tyreek Hill, shaking and baking? It's like, bro, catch the ball and fall down. You already know the ball is slippery. Pause on that. No diddy. But you have that, and then second off on the 2-point conversion, bro, you know the ball is coming to you. Like, I don't even know why he had to squat. Why did he even have to squat on that pass? But it's like, bro, you know what makes it so sad too? Mark Andrews, he had 4 drops total on the entire season. 2 of them came last night in the most crucial moment. I feel for the brother, but at the same time, he might get cut. They don't play that.
So listen, I'm gonna we want to.
I can keep talking, but those are my thoughts. Dad, I was genuinely depressed last night. Like I was disappointed, man.
I was highly.
This was Lamar's year.
Well, here's what I will say. And look, I'm certainly not a conspiracy theorist, mostly. But Mark Andrews sold, as did Tyler Linderbaum. I think that's his name, Linderbaum. So your center, first of all, he backs up, and this is where you were talking about the whole weather issue.
Yeah.
He backs up and he trips Lamar. Like, this is your center. You've been doing this all year. In the biggest game of the year, you trip your center. Your center trips you. That's the first thing. And then he literally hikes the ball as if it's Wembenyama back there catching the football. Who in the name of God?
And that's the exact play Lamar Jackson ended up fumbling on because he never got control of the football.
That's what I'm saying. So Mark Andrews, the 2 dudes who are supposed to be the most reliable, that Lamar Jackson is supposed to trust the most, your center and his safety blanket in Mark Andrews, let him down. Yep. It is what it is. You can't, and so that's why I said at the beginning of this segment, Lamar Jackson is not the issue, was not the problem. He did what he was supposed to do. He got it done. The fumble wasn't his fault because he was trying to gather himself. And the interception, again, to your point, it looked like his wide receiver wasn't where he was supposed to be. You know what I mean? And so that was the issue. But to piggyback on your point, why are you throwing the ball there anyway?
Exactly.
And then one last thing. Then you get on the 2-yard line.
For the 2-point conversion. Yeah.
For the 2-point conversion. And instead of, you do a play action pass instead of handing the ball to Derrick Henry. I mean, shades of Russell Wilson and oh my gosh.
And the Seahawks and Marshawn Lynch.
And Marshawn Lynch, exactly. I mean, again, 2 years in a row that Todd Monken has actually sold out Lamar Jackson.
And Dad, think about this. This is back-to-back years where fumbles cost them a chance at winning their games. Because you remember last year, Zay Flowers, if he didn't fumble that football and that was a touchdown, they win. I told you probably went back and watched the rest of that game. They lost all momentum when Mark Andrews had that fumble, before they even got to the 2-point conversion at the end of the game, they lost all their momentum right there. If they would have scored that touchdown on that drive, we would have honestly never even have needed the 2-point conversion at the end of the game. And last thing I'm gonna say is, for all those people, well, Josh Allen's MVP, like he showed why. Those people are idiots. Like I said, I don't want to take anything away from Josh Allen. He played a turnoverless game, really good, clean football. Guess who had more passing yards? Lamar Jackson. Guess who threw for more touchdowns? Lamar Jackson. Guess who had more rushing yards? Lamar Jackson. Outside of the interception, guess who had a higher total QBR? Lamar Jackson. So
Josh Allen didn't throw any touchdowns.
He ran for 2, and people are
push and a run.
And that's my thing. Like this wasn't a 45-yard touchdown like Jalen Hurts got yesterday. This brother ran in on the 2-yard line twice. It's like, come on, bro, give me a break. I like Josh Allen. Like I said, I hope they end up beating the Chiefs. I can't stand the Chiefs. But at the same time, Lamar is still the MVP. I just feel bad for the brother because this is back-to-back 2 wasted seasons in a row.
Yeah, I can hear the pain. I'm sorry. I'm gonna because we're kind of moving a little bit slower than I wanted to because we spent so much time
No, you're good.
talking about the
Eagles,
Ravens.
Rams, we don't even have to talk about that because I already gave my thoughts. Matthew Stafford came to play, but Saquon Barkley is Saquon Barkley.
So you saw that Ben Johnson has been hired by the Bears. We've talked a little bit about that. The only other thing that I wanted to mention is Aaron Glenn. And I think the two positions, like there's the Jets and there is the Raiders are the two teams that
I hate both situations.
I would hate both situations. If I were Aaron Glenn, I'd stay put. And
I would
here's
too.
what I'll say about the Jets. If he goes to the Jets and Aaron Rodgers stays, it's not
He's
going to work
cooked.
out.
He's gonna become another Robert Saleh, unfortunately.
That's right. I hope he's been paying attention because if the Jets try to get him and Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback,
Yep.
it's gonna lead to more problems. The Vegas, don't see that happening. Terrible owner. Essentially that's what.
And who are his players? Because he's a defensive guy. I'm like, you might lose Crosby. Right. I'm like, who else is there? The Jets, when I get from a defensive perspective, because I think he could actually have them become arguably a top 5 defense in the entire National Football League next year. They were supposed to be that this year. And Robert Saleh had them playing really good, but it's just I hate both scenarios for him because he's gonna have a very short lease. It'll be similar to Gerard Mayo. They're not gonna give him any resources, and then they're just gonna boot him out after a year. Even if he makes if he's with the Jets, I can see him being gone by the trade deadline. If I'm being honest, and it's not gonna be his fault. I think he can be a fantastic head coach given the right scenario. But I just hate those two.
Agreed. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him though.
Me too.
I don't know why, Jameson, you decided to structure it this way, but you go from frustrated about the NFL to frustrated about the NBA. So the Lakers been struggling. Talk about that.
Here's what I'm going to say, because I'm not about to give a whole lot of real estate to the Lakers right now, but it's a bad look when LeBron last night said we have to almost play. He literally said after the game, our team is constructed in a way where we have to play almost perfect basketball. That's unacceptable. We've been saying this for years. Rob Pelinka, they're doing exactly what the Ravens are doing. You're wasting talent, man. Anthony Davis is still in his prime. LeBron James plays like he's still in his prime. I mean, the brother's 40, and it's just wasted. It really hurt my soul last night. We lost to the Los Angeles Clippers. It's no knock to the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard's back. He had a really good game, but LeBron should not have to go out there and score 40 points a game. And score 30-point triple-doubles at age 40 for us to even have a chance of winning basketball games. It's unacceptable. We need to go out there and get a big. You saw what the Phoenix Suns did this past week? They got out-rebounded in one of the games. Literally less than 24 hours later, they turn around and get Nick Richards. His second game there, he had 21 and 12. You get what I'm saying? It's just Rob Pelinka, I'm telling you, I feel like he hibernates during the regular season and in the offseason. All he's good for is going to Disney World and consulting with Jeannie Buss. The brother stinks as a GM, and going forward, until the Lakers actually genuinely make a really good trade, like getting a Trae Young or a Zach LaVine, these complementary pieces aren't cutting it. But your thoughts?
I'm not even spending energy on the Lakers.
Yeah,
I'm tired.
It's bad ball.
Listen, one of our first episodes, I talked to you. I said it at the very beginning when we first started this podcast.
You did.
I said by Christmas, I will know what the Lakers are going to be. It's going to be what we've always been for the last couple of years. And I called it. I said it. This is not me saying I told you so. Rob Pelinka continues to be the GM. Therefore, we continue to struggle.
Yep. And
at the end of the day, he continues to sit on his hands. There's not a whole much more to say. I know you got excited about DFS. I told you that was somebody throwing a stone, a pebble in a lake. That's all it was. That's all DFS was. So nothing has changed for me because Rob Pelinka is still the GM. I'm not wasting energy.
It's been a rough week, man. Carolina lost to Stanford. Ravens lost. I had to watch the inauguration today.
Why you got to bring up old stuff?
No, I'm just saying Carolina lost to Stanford. The Lakers suck right now. The Ravens lost. It's bad ball, man. It's nasty work.
So, very quickly, Jalen Green and Giannis were named players of the week.
Yeah.
Your thoughts about those two?
Oh no, huge! I just got to give more so of a shout out to Jalen Green. The Rockets have been on a tear lately. He averaged 32 points a game. 30 points a game this past week, and the Giannis averaged I think it was like 31 and 12. So huge shout out to both of them. And I'll be honest at this point, I'm just ready for All Star Weekend. I need a break from the Lakers, and I need to see at least something to get me excited about basketball right now because it's bad ball.
Agreed.
All right. Well, hopefully some positive stuff here. Moving the needle, as always, every week. We'll start with you, sir.
Yeah, so by moving the needle this week, if rumors are true, because Jameson already mentioned it and you didn't have to go there, but my Tar Heels lost to Stanford. It's not looking good, except that the crystal balls for Caleb Wilson that we're hearing this week, who is a 5-star, probably I think they said the highest rated prospect since Ty Lawson. Crystal ball is saying that he's coming to Carolina. He's a big that we desperately need. So that's what I'm hearing. And I think he's going to make that announcement on Thursday. So I'm hoping that is the case, and that's what would move the needle for me this week. I'm excited about that because God knows the Tar Heels need some help. So that's my moving the needle.
I got two quick ones. My first one, I'll keep it brief. It's just huge shout out to Dawn Staley. Signing her contract extension that'll keep her at South Carolina through 2030. Just huge shout out to her and all she's been able to do for college basketball and just women's basketball in general. And then my second move in the need, I'll keep this quick too, was the Unrivaled Basketball League started. It was really good basketball the last couple of days, and I will say this quickly. I know we talked about her during the actual WNBA regular season, but people going to talk about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. I'm telling you, I think we're in the Feast Collier era right now. Seeing the way she's been like every game, I'm like, she's just impressing me every single game. It's like, and I always said this, I think it's going to be similar to the Olympics for a lot of these women. This is a chance for them to actually continue to work on their game and stay in shape, and they're going to be ahead of the curve of a lot of the other women that, are just, working out by themselves right now. They're actually playing really competitive basketball, and it's like Nafisi Collier has already been one of the ones that stood out to me. So huge shout out to her and Brianna Stewart for starting the Unrivaled Basketball League. I've loved what I've been seeing so far.
Yeah, real quickly, Jameson, I think she might actually take the moniker of the big fundamental away from Tim Duncan.
Yeah, she's tough.
She's special. She's tough. So I agree with you there. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
A lot of love to the ladies, Jay. I love it. Okay.
Hey, you know me, man. We respect women around here.
True that.
All right. As we wrap up this episode, we got the conference championship predictions. So we'll start with you, sir. You got the the Chiefs versus the Bills.
That was a good one.
Hey,
good ball.
Listen, you already said it. You already said it. As much as, listen, this could be a chance for Josh Allen to finally get over the hump.
He won't.
No, it's not happening. So it's the Chiefs and everybody versus the Bills. I've got the Chiefs.
Same here. Like I said, I'm rooting for the Bills, but I think between the refs and the voodoo and the devil worshiping, I got the Chiefs, man. Unfortunately. That's tough.
All right.
It's
Tell
tough.
D'Angelo. Anyways, Eagles versus Commanders, Jameson.
Man, this is tough. I'm taking the Commanders. I'm rooting for them. I think it's gonna come down to the quarterback battle, and I'm telling you, it's crazy for me to say this, but I'm taking Jaden Daniels. I think he's gonna be way better than Jalen Hurts. And there's two things quickly to monitor. Quinyon Mitchell might not be playing in that game. That's arguably their best corner for the Eagles. And Jalen Hurts, we don't know if he's going to play. He got hurt later in that game. So I think all that combined and the momentum that the Commanders have, I'm going to rock out with them.
Listen, I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
I actually have to agree. I think Jalen Hurts has, and some of it fair, some of it unfair. He hasn't lived up to expectations. They're still winning. And folks will say, well, look at all the weapons and, stuff that he has, but he hasn't at least lost them games.
He had 125 passing yards throughout the entire game. That's nasty.
I know. It's nasty work. But here's why I'm going to choose the Commanders because I think Jaden Daniels is a dude who can go win you a game.
Facts.
Jalen Hurts hasn't lost the Eagles a game, but I think that Jaden Daniels can actually go win you a game.
I
So I'm
agree.
gonna, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna go with the Commanders on this one. So well, look, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the J&J Podcast. Appreciate everybody listening in. As I mentioned at the beginning, this was going to be a shortened version because of the MLK holiday. Hope everybody's enjoying that. We will catch y'all